comes in and basically starts the dumbest trade war in the history of this country. This is going to be about potentially millions of people losing their jobs. It's going to be about millions of people losing their savings, many of people losing their retirement security, and at the same time taking on even higher costs for everything they buy. So that's going to push us in potentially to foreclosures or people being pushed out of their apartments. You know, I remember this from 2008 and how long it took us to dig our way out. And to this day, there are families, there are communities that still haven't recovered. Recessions can be all those fancy charts and graphs, but at the end of the day, people feel them one person at a time, and they can be devastated.
We got to talk about the doom and gloom predictions from the left that once again didn't turn out to be true. All of the lies that the Democrat Party has spewed, anything and everything that Trump attempts to do. Oh my goodness, it's the end of the world. You know, the doomsday predictions, as you just heard there from Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren. These people are sick, man. These people are sick. And they need to be called out every single time that it turns out that once again, they were wrong. And today, that's what we're going to do a little bit. So let's dive in.
Donald Trump's plans for the economy would accelerate inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year.
Increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. Increase inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year.
A recession by the middle of next year.
To a recession by the middle of next year. Recession by the middle of next year. Recession by the middle of next year. A recession by the middle of next year. A recession by the middle of next year. A recession by the middle of next year. Recession by the middle of next year.
Last time I checked, we're in the middle of the next year. Anybody feel a recession going on? I don't think so. Not at all.
Palpable panic on Wall Street, red numbers and worries about something else that starts with an R, a recession.
What we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
He's talking about that period of transition is what he's talking about is his firm belief that tariffs are going to be the main way that the United States brings in revenue. Never mind what they do to the prices that people actually pay when they purchase goods in a global economy. I mean, Scott, virtually no one who understands economics believes that tariffs are a good idea, including all those people that we played in the clip to get into this conversation, most of whom side with Trump. They believe in Trump. They're supporters of his.
Yeah, he firmly believes in it. It's his theory. And guess what? He ran on it and he got elected on it. And for his theory to take root, it will take some period of time. And he will rise and fall on this theory.
Are you comfortable with Trump rolling the dice on the United States' economy based on his hunch that we should go back to, the McKinley era tariffs?
Am I comfortable that the person who was duly elected president of the United States be allowed to govern in the way that he said he would in order to win the election? Of course I am.
Are you comfortable with him gambling with the economy? Gamble, huh? Okay. All right.
Under his reckless leadership is that costs aren't going down in America. They're going up. Inflation is going up. The stock market is going down. Consumer confidence is going down. And the retirement security of the American people is going down. This is not Liberation Day in America. It's Recession Day. Because Donald Trump's reckless policies are driving us toward a painful recession.
Driving us towards a painful recession. Interesting. Uncle Trump, weigh in on it.
Mr. President, what is your message to critics who think your tariff plan will cause a recession?
I think they should go back to business school.
I agree because, the truth is actually completely different than what these so-called experts in the Democrats predicted.
The left and people that don't like the president and don't want things to work. And, like Senator Elizabeth Warren will come on and say, inflation's out of control and the economy is getting killed by what's happening by these tariffs. This 3% with the market at new highs, and really we haven't seen inflation, go up back to 3%. Maybe it will this week. Maybe we'll see it. But none of these horrible things have happened, but they still talk like it's happening. It's amazing.
Well, there's an important lesson there. Don't pick a congressman to be your money manager. That's what I would say. But in the end, Congress has their own reasons to point out certain things. And the Democrats, of course, as you pointed out, really don't want to see the current administration have some success. But there's no doubt that this is some success. We're seeing more horsepower. We're seeing better equities. Inflation really hasn't changed much in the last year or so.
Come on now. And he was spot on with the Elizabeth Warren thing, because obviously you guys saw that first clip,
Remember when President Trump's tariffs were supposed to crush consumers and trigger a recession? Well, the same experts who predicted doom and gloom are now admitting GDP is up, inflation is down, and stocks have rebounded to hit record highs. Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Brian Brenberg, along with my co-hosts Kevin O'Leary, Lydia Hu, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for the hour, E.J. Antoni, Unleash Prosperity Senior Fellow and Heritage Foundation economist. Welcome, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. The average U.S. tariff is now close to 1930s levels, and yet no economic collapse, no crisis. Even the biggest skeptics have to admit their panic just didn't pan out.
Tariffs. Now, I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. The stock market is at record highs. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives.
As the economy defies dire predictions, it's challenging economic orthodoxy. As one columnist puts it in the Wall Street Journal, having broken most of the rules of politics, has Mr. Trump really smashed one of the supposedly iron laws of economics, too? That is a good question. Kevin O'Leary, let me come to you on that one. The economists seem to be getting it wrong lately. Have they? And what's going on here?
Well, let's talk about the market first, because you're right, it's at all-time highs here. The market is measuring future results in earnings. And right now what the market's sniffing out is access to new markets at a reciprocal tariff price somewhere around 15%. That's the assumption. Mm-hmm. Now, let's take Europe. This is big news. That's a massive market to gain access to. Why would the Europeans, remember, they negotiate on behalf of 26 entities through one agency, which is like herding cats. So already this morning, the German and the French are a little, well, for lack of a better word, pissed off, because they don't like the deal. And they think the tariffs are not symmetric. They're asymmetrical. In other words, the U.S. is doing better than they are. It costs more for them to come here than for us to go there. Why would they agree to this? Simple reason. Pharmaceuticals and automotive. They want to protect those mega industries. And they're getting some protection because everybody thought these tariffs would be just reciprocal across the board. It turns out there's fine-tuning going on here. And if you're a European pharmaceutical company, the last market you can afford to lose access to is the United States of America. So they're taking a lot of pain to keep those two big sectors open. Story's still unfolding, but there is a deal in play here, and the market likes it a lot. Yet to be determined exactly how it plays out. Don't forget, all of these countries are one basket, and the other, the big mama, is China.
Right.
That's a different deal, and that's all over the map right now. That is all over the map. I've got to stay tuned for that one.
And in Sweden, talking about that map and what's all over it as we speak. EJ, GDP was supposed to collapse under these Trump tariffs, and it's not. In fact, maybe it's actually being revised northward, I hear.
Right, and what we've seen just in the last couple of days, from the Atlanta Fed, from the St. Louis Fed, from the New York Fed. All of their estimates have gone up in terms of GDP, and we're continuing to see some of those missing imports, as we called them, from the first quarter find their place in the second quarter data. In other words, we got all of the numbers as stuff got imported into the country in Q1. A lot of that was just front running of tariffs, but it didn't all immediately show up in either business inventories or in consumer spending. As that shows up in the second and subsequent quarters, what's subtracted out of GDP is now added back to GDP. So you're seeing pretty good growth numbers here, especially if you just look at domestic purchases. So again, as you were saying earlier, Brian, the experts were wrong.
Yeah, a lot of those experts are.
The so-called experts were wrong once again. Same thing with the Democrat Party, wrong once again. The whole doom and gloom, oh my goodness, Trump's going to crash the whole economy. These tariffs are going to destroy our relationships. None of it happened. Even with Jerome Too Late Powell deciding to not lower interest rates, things are still going well. I want y'all to listen to this clip of Jerome Powell because I think the way that he answers this question says a lot.
What kind of economic data does the Fed need to see before you'll be ready to cut? I mean, do you need inflation back nearly to target? Are there other things in the pricing that you look for? Do you need to see weakening in the job market? What kind of things are you looking for?
I mean, ultimately, it could be any of those things, right? But you know, if you saw that the risks to the two goals were moving into balance, if they were fully in balance, that would imply that you should move toward a more neutral stance of policy. This is the special situation we're in, which is we have two-sided risk to both of our goals. When we paused, inflation was above target and the labor market was pretty good. So you know, that was a time when policy was restrictive when we paused. And to be restrictive is to be supporting a return to our inflation target, right? So as the two targets get back into balance, you would think you'd move in a way closer to neutral, and that the next steps that we take are likely to be in that direction. What will it take? You know, it'll be the totality of the evidence. As I mentioned, there's quite a lot of data coming in, which before the next meeting. Will it be dispositive of that? You know, it's really hard to say. We don't make those decisions right now, so we'll have to see.
Well, I guess just in terms of inflation, though, for example, like some people would point to if it remains only in goods and it doesn't bleed over to services, then maybe that's evidence that the tariff effect is going to be a temporary one-time thing. Is that kind of thing affect your thinking, or do you just need to see the number come down? I think closer to 2.
We'll look at everything. You know, it's as I mentioned. You know, a pretty reasonable base case is that this will be a one-time price increase, and in the end, we'll make sure that that's the case. We're just trying to do that efficiently. And efficiently means getting the timing right, so we don't again, if we cut rates too soon, maybe we didn't finish the job with inflation. History is dotted with examples of that. If you cut too late, then maybe you're doing unnecessary damage to the labor market. So we're trying to get that timing right, and that's effectively what we're doing.
Hey, listen, Mr. Jerome Too Late Powell, I think you're already past time. You know, it's kind of interesting how he stuttered his way through that answer. You know, you would think that he would be prepared, but if you notice, when he got answered that question, he started flipping through some pages as if he was like looking for a specific answer, you know? But yeah, I would think that he would have a specific answer for that question, because you would think, especially with Uncle Trump calling him out constantly on being slow and not dropping the interest rates at all, you would think he would know that question was coming. So you'd be prepared with a concise answer on, you know, to that question. But nah, study your way through, search for the answers in your notes. I don't know, just seemed off to me. But y'all let me know if you feel the same way. Get in those comments and talk to me. Make sure you guys hit that like button for the algorithm. I will greatly appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.